You're listening to the Data Podcast, where we explore all things data.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're kicking things off today with a really fascinating premise. It almost sounds like something out of a business school textbook, doesn't it?
It really does.
Can you have two companies, basically identical, same market, similar resources, aiming for the exact same, pretty ambitious goal, and yet end up with completely, polar opposite results? Especially on something as critical and, frankly, expensive as data transformation.
Yeah, it seems like it shouldn't happen, right? You'd think, well, more money in should mean better results out. Simple.
Rainier.
But the sources we've been digging into, they lay out exactly the scenario. We're talking about two mid-sized insurance firms, same market pressures operating side by side.
Okay.
And they both realized pretty much at the same time, look, we have to get a handle on our data. We need it to compete, to find that sustainable edge in an industry that's automating like crazy.
So they both committed. Same time, same
Go
goal.
exactly the same starting point.
And yet, fast forward 3 years, one of them isn't just succeeding. They're actually building on that success, using the wins to fund the next steps, compounding returns.
While the other one, well, they're looking at a huge write-off. We're talking 8 figures. Plus, they've got this mountain of tech that nobody inside even trusts anymore.
Wow. Okay, so our mission today isn't just to tell the story. We want to really unpack why this happened, what caused such a massive divergence. Specifically looking at this difference between a technology-first mindset versus a more disciplined strategy-first approach.
And the thing is, this isn't just an insurance story. These lessons, they apply pretty much anywhere to any business thinking about a major data project.
Absolutely.
Because the core lesson here, it's not really about the tech itself, the code, the cloud, platform, whatever. It's about how you make decisions. It's about that very human, very tempting trap of buying the solution before you've defined the problem, prioritizing procurement over actual purpose.
Okay, let's really dig in then. Two companies, identical starting line, same goal. What was that one single, fundamental difference in maybe the first 6 months that just sent them down completely different paths? One towards success, the other towards, a very expensive failure. Let's start with Company A, because their initial move, it's something we see happen all the time in big organizations, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic pattern.
They feel the pressure, got to modernize, got to do something with data. And the default thinking is, well, if we just buy the newest, shiniest, most advanced tools, then obviously we'll get the best outcomes.
Better tools equals better results. Simple equation.
So they went down the technology path.
Oh.
And they didn't just dip their toes in, did they? They went big.
Yeah.
Fast. Huge budget.
Oh, yeah. Full confidence right out of the gate. Aiming for massive scale, immense power immediately. Their very first move. A single huge investment. $20 million.
$20 million. Wow.
On a really sophisticated, state-of-the-art data lake environment. And, just to put that in perspective, a data lake, its whole design is about sucking in and storing just enormous amounts of raw data. Structured, unstructured, doesn't matter. Everything. Everything. Think volume, think flexibility, usually running on AWS, Azure, one of the big cloud providers. So this wasn't like a pilot project. This was a massive organizational bet that the infrastructure itself would pave the way.
And their next move just doubled down on that idea, right? The people they hired.
Exactly. To run this cutting-edge system, they immediately went out and hired this elite team, very expensive external data scientists, machine learning gurus. The signal was clear. This is a technical problem. We need technical experts.
So the thinking was, get the smartest people, give them the most powerful tool, to just collect all the data.
All of it.
And somehow, magically, the insights would just bubble up.
That was the philosophy, yeah. Simple, almost seductive. Tech first. Collect everything. Literally petabytes flowing in from every corner of the company. Didn't matter if it was relevant or clean. Just get it in the lake.
Okay.
And then trust that this brilliant team with their pattern-finding skills would somehow sift through that data ocean and pull out these amazing strategic gems. It's like trying to boil the actual ocean, technologically speaking.
They wanted the value before they even knew what value they were looking for.
Precisely.
But hang on, surely having the best storage, the most talented people, that has to give you some kind of edge, doesn't it? Why does that become this classic pitfall? Why does putting technology first, strategy later actually actively sabotage the whole thing?
Well, because without a really clear business purpose driving it, without a defined question you're trying to answer, that $20 million data lake very quickly stops being an asset and starts becoming, well, people call it a data
A
swamp.
data swamp.
The huge mistake, the critical omission, was starting with this incredibly expensive, powerful answer, the shiny new infrastructure, before they'd even figured out the clear, measurable business question they needed to ask it.
They confused having the capacity to store data with the capability to actually use it.
Exactly.
Okay, let's dive a bit deeper into that swamp idea, because this must be where the costs really started to balloon, right? Not just the initial investment. What made the data so unusable in practice?
It really boils down to two things, data governance and data quality, or rather the lack of them.
Okay.
Because the strategy was just collect everything. There was no plan, no process for cleaning the data, tagging it, making sure it was standardized as it poured in.
It's just messy.
Incredibly messy. You've got thousands of tables coming from old legacy systems. Some are structured databases, some are just raw server logs, sensor data, whatever. And you need metadata, data about the data, just to understand what you're looking at.
Like, what does this column actually mean?
Exactly. Is this field called ID a policy number?
Right.
Is it an employee ID? Is it a claims payment reference? Without good metadata, which company A just didn't have consistently, it's almost impossible to know.
So you've hired this crack team of expensive data scientists, presumably to build fancy predictive models, give you that competitive edge. What were they actually spending their days doing?
Well, the sources we looked at are pretty clear on this. This elite team found themselves acting mostly as very high-priced data janitors.
Oof. Not what they signed up for.
Definitely not. Instead of doing the advanced modeling, the machine learning, which is what they were hired for, they were spending something like 70, maybe even 80% of their time just trying to clean the data.
Just wrangling it.
Tedious manual data wrangling, trying to figure out how to make different systems talk to each other, harmonizing schemas that didn't match up, trying to validate if any particular data set was even reliable enough to build a model on. It was a complete misuse of their skills.
That sounds incredibly frustrating. And inefficient. It must have caused a lot of friction internally, too.
Huge friction. You've got the data science team, obviously frustrated. Then you've got the IT department, who were responsible for keeping this massive cloud infrastructure running.
Right.
Their job, their metrics, were all about uptime, scalability, security patches. They weren't really incentivized or measured on whether the data in the lake was actually useful or high quality.
So the tech was running fine.
Technically, yes. The infrastructure was humming along perfectly, but it was delivering zero business insight because that whole governance layer, that quality control, was just missing.
So connecting this back to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
That initial decision, leading with the tool, the data lake, instead of a specific business problem.
Yeah.
It didn't just set the project up for failure. It created this, expensive, self-perpetuating burden.
Absolutely. You had the massive upfront cost. Then you had the huge ongoing cloud storage bills for petabytes of data nobody could use.
Right.
Plus the salaries of this expert team whose time was basically being wasted on data janitorial work.
They built a very expensive solution that was desperately searching for a problem to solve.
That's it, exactly. And the whole effort turned inward. Everyone became focused on just managing the technological beasts they created instead of looking outward and figuring out how to generate actual business value.
Okay, so now let's pivot. Let's look at Company B. Same market, same competitive pressure, same time frame, but their approach just couldn't have been more different.
Night and day. They absolutely knew about the kind of tech Company A was buying. They saw the big announcements. But their core belief was fundamentally different.
How so?
They believed that the real value of data wasn't locked up in the specific technology used to store it. The value lay in its proven ability to solve tangible, real-world business problems.
So for them, data transformation wasn't an infrastructure project, first and foremost.
No, it was an outcome. They saw data as a tool, a utility, specifically for tackling prioritized, high-impact business pain points, one by one.
That's the crucial difference, isn't it? Philosophically and operationally.
Absolutely. Company B understood something critical. You need to demonstrate measurable value early and often. That's how you get buy-in, especially long-term support from the executives. You can't just bank on faith in some massive payoff years down the road.
Okay, so Company A goes for the $20 million data lake. Massive general-purpose tool. Where did Company B start? What was their first step?
Their journey began really small, really focused. a single, highly specific business objective. They deliberately avoided that big, vague goal of, let's harness all our data.
Okay, what was the objective?
They picked one critical, very visible operational pain point, reducing the time it took to process insurance claims.
Claims processing. Okay, that sounds very practical.
It was perfect. Because it was tangible, everyone felt the pain of slow claims. It hit the bottom line through costs, and it hit customer satisfaction scores.
Yeah.
It wasn't abstract at all.
Why that specific problem, though? Was there like a checklist they used for picking where to start?
They were actually incredibly disciplined about selecting that first target. It had to meet 4 key criteria.
Okay, what were they?
First, high visibility. Every single executive, every operations manager knew claims processing was slow, clunky, and expensive. No convincing needed there.
Got it. Visible problem.
Second, clear metric. Success wasn't subjective. It was easily measured. A reduction in the average number of days to process a claim. Simple.
Measurable outcome.
Third, contained data set. This was crucial. To improve claims processing, they didn't need data from marketing or HR or finance initially. They needed specific data, mostly from the existing claims system and maybe some related policy documents. It kept the scope really tight.
Didn't need to boil the ocean.
Exactly. And fourth, executive pain point. Solving this problem would bring immediate relief and make key people happy right up to the C-suite and the managers running the claims department.
That is smart. Focused, contained, measurable, hits a pain point. But let's talk politics for a second.
Yes. Always politics.
Company A is out there making noise, spending $20 million on this state-of-the-art system, hiring rock star data scientists. Wasn't there huge internal pressure on Company B's leadership? Like, hey, are we falling behind? Shouldn't we be doing something bigger, flashier? That kind of managerial FOMO, fear of missing out.
That's a really sharp question because the sources absolutely highlight that political challenge. There was skepticism inside Company B. People were looking over at Company A and saying, are we being too timid?
So how did they handle that? How did they defend this smaller, slower-seeming approach?
They were very clever with their strategic communication. They didn't frame it as slow. They framed their incremental approach as being fundamentally about risk mitigation.
Oh, okay.
Instead of betting the entire, say, $20 million budget on one massive, high-risk technological leap with an ROI that was, frankly, unproven, they proposed making a series of smaller, much higher probability bets, each bet designed to deliver a guaranteed, measurable return quickly. So the message wasn't, we're slow, it was, we're disciplined and we're guaranteeing value every step of the way, unlike them.
That reframing is powerful. It shifts the narrative from speed to certainty.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell us about their actual process for tackling that first problem, the claims processing. Because this is where that human-centered approach really shines compared to Company A.
It was profoundly collaborative from day one. They put together a genuinely cross-functional team. And crucially, this team wasn't just a bunch of external data scientists flown in.
Who was on it?
It was a mix. Yes, some technical analysts, people who understood the data systems, but they worked shoulder to shoulder with actual business experts, specifically experienced claims adjusters and claims operations managers, the people who lived the problem every single day.
That's a huge difference right there. Company A's fancy team was kind of siloed, working on theoretical models maybe?
Pretty much. Whereas Company B's team was embedded. They were right there, solving a real daily operational issue with the people who felt the pain. That structural choice alone made a massive difference. It ensured the solution wouldn't just be technically clever, it would be operationally useful.
Makes sense.
And critically, again, instead of that boil the ocean mentality, trying to standardize every single data source in the company right away.
Which Company A tried to do with the data lake?
Right. Company B focused only on cleaning, unifying, and ensuring the quality of the specific data they needed for that one goal. Speeding up claims. Nothing else mattered for phase 1.
And the tools they used. Did they buy fancy new analytics platforms?
Not initially. They deliberately used existing, often simpler analytical tools that they already had in-house. They built straightforward dashboards, some automated reports, things designed specifically to flag bottlenecks for the claims adjusters.
I really like that simplicity. It's utility over complexity, function over flash.
Totally. They built tools that gave immediate, accurate answers to the adjusters' real questions. Where is this specific claim stuck right now? What piece of documentation is missing? Does this claim look like a standard pattern we know we can approve quickly?
Practical answer.
Exactly. And this leads directly to the next critical piece, the part Company A completely missed: building organizational buy-in and trust.
Right, because you can build the most amazing tool, but if the people on the front lines don't use it or don't trust it, it's worthless. How did Company B make sure people actually adopted it?
They were meticulous about change management. They didn't just dump the new tool on the claims department and say, here you go, figure it out.
Which happens all the time.
All the time. Instead, they rolled it out with really intensive, targeted training specifically for the claims adjusters. And crucially, this training wasn't about teaching them complex database queries or statistics.
What was it about then?
It was about showing them very directly, look, this new tool is going to help you close claims faster, maybe 30% faster. It's going to reduce your personal backlog, cut down your stress levels. They focused entirely on how it would improve the adjuster's own professional lives.
Making it about them, not just about the company's metrics.
Precisely. Because trust is everything, right?
Yeah.
If the people who depend on the information don't trust where it's coming from or how it's calculated, the most beautiful dashboard in the world just gets ignored.
Company B got that. They understood the transformation wasn't really about the hardware or the software. It was fundamentally about changing human behavior, building human capability, and earning human trust.
And their entire philosophy was built on this incremental mindset. They saw data transformation as a long journey, not a single event, a journey fueled by momentum.
So the plan was always tackle one high-value problem, prove the success.
Yep. Use that success to build not just better tech for the next problem, but also deeper organizational knowledge, more internal trust, and frankly, the self-funded capability to tackle the next project.
They were generating political capital and financial capital with every single step.
Exactly.
So here's where it gets really interesting, tying it back to that first divergence. Company B put the why, first, why are we doing this? To reduce claims processing time, to show real value. Then they worried about the how much to invest. They proved the value, and that earned them the right, politically and financially, to invest more later.
That's the core difference. Earn the right to scale.
Okay, let's jump forward. 3 years have passed since both companies started their data journeys. And the results, well, they couldn't be more different. Let's revisit Company A first. After all that initial fanfare, the $20 million splash, what did things look like for them?
It was pretty bleak. Devastatingly predictable, actually, given how they started. After 3 years, yes, they still technically had the state-of-the-art data lake. It was running, it was operational, but it was filled with those petabytes of just undifferentiated, untagged, messy data that nobody in the business actually trusted or used for anything meaningful.
So the data swamp was real.
Oh, it was real. It had become a pure liability, a very expensive monument to potential that was never, ever realized.
And what happened to that elite team of data scientists they'd hired at great expense? Did they manage to turn things around eventually?
Nope. Mostly gone. The attrition rate was massive.
Why?
Well, think about it. We said earlier, data scientists are skilled problem solvers. They want to build models, find insights. When you hire them into an environment that has no clear business goals driving the work, and where the basic data quality is just terrible.
They become data janitors.
Exactly. Their job becomes managing organizational chaos, trying to track down business users 3 years too late to ask basic questions like, what does this field mean? Their expensive talents were utterly wasted. It led to burnout, frustration, and inevitably they left for places where they could actually do their jobs.
So the ultimate cost here, it's way beyond just that initial $20 million, isn't it? What was the actual return on investment for Company A?
Oh, it was definitively severely negative ROI. Not only did they lose the initial investment, but think about the ongoing operational costs.
Right, the cloud storage.
Massive bills year after year just to house data nobody was using, plus the cost of all the internal projects that failed because the data was bad, plus the salaries of the people who left.
Yeah, and the executives.
They were left scratching their heads asking, what exactly did we get for our $20 million? Where's the competitive advantage? And the answer was nowhere, nothing.
Worse than nothing, maybe, because you mentioned trust.
Exactly. The failure created this deep, profound organizational cynicism. That's a huge, often unquantifiable cost.
Yeah, because now every manager who lived through that $20 million data lake fiasco, the next time someone from IT proposes a big data initiative, what are they going to think?
Their eyes roll. Oh, here we go again, another massive IT spending spree that won't deliver. It poisons the well for future efforts.
So Company A's big project became this symbol of a problem that was never properly defined in the first place. And it just made future transformation attempts exponentially harder.
Precisely. The technology itself, the servers, the storage, they worked fine. But zero business value because it was totally disconnected from what the business actually needed to do its job better.
Okay. Depressing picture for Company A. Now let's flip to Company B. Started small, stayed focused, iterative approach. What did their world look like 3 years later?
The contrast is just phenomenal. Company B, in those same 3 years, had successfully identified, tackled, and solved 12 distinct high-value business use cases.
12. Wow.
12. And they didn't need one single massive budget approval up front. They used the proven success, the demonstrated ROI from the first few projects to fund and justify the next one.
So they were essentially self-funding their transformation.
Pretty much. Using demonstrated value to pay for the next step, it was a virtuous cycle.
And the impact wasn't just on specific problems, was it? It sounds like it changed the organization itself.
Absolutely. They weren't just fixing isolated IT issues. They were systematically building strong organizational capabilities. They developed a robust data operating model processes for governance, quality, collaboration.
They built a data culture.
They really did. They created a culture where making decisions based on data became the norm, not the exception. And why? Because the data had proven its trustworthiness again and again, project after project.
Think back to that very first win they had.
The claims processing time reduction.
Yeah. The source material mentioned a specific number for that, didn't it?
It did. That very first project, that single focused effort, dropped the average claims processing time by a remarkable 30%.
30%. That's not trivial. That's a huge, tangible, measurable gain.
Massive. That's real money saved on operational costs. That's faster service for customers. That's increased capacity for the existing staff without hiring more people.
And that kind of quick, measurable win,
Yeah.
that's gold, politically speaking, isn't it?
Invaluable political currency. It didn't require anyone to have faith in some futuristic technology. It was just, look at the numbers. We improved this key operational metric by 30%.
Hard to argue with.
Exactly. It demonstrated immediate value to the executives, to the shareholders, and critically, back to the end users, those claims adjusters.
Right, the people on the ground.
The adjusters saw it worked. They saw it made their jobs easier, less stressful. So what happened next? They started volunteering to be involved in the next data project. They trusted it would actually help them rather than seeing it as just another burdensome new IT system being forced on them.
That's the buy-in effect.
Totally.
Yeah.
So Company B's ROI, massively positive, and compounding. Every solved problem demonstrated value, which built support and funding for the next investment. They were literally using yesterday's efficiency gains to pay for tomorrow's innovations.
So what's fascinating here, thinking about that political dimension you mentioned,
Yeah.
Company B's focus, that discipline to solve just one problem really well first, that generated the political goodwill and the actual financial capital they needed to go on and solve the next 11 problems.
That's the engine. They proved that focus, not the size of the initial budget, was the real key to success. Company A had way more resources up front and failed spectacularly. Company B, with a much more disciplined, strategy-led approach, achieved genuine, lasting transformation.
Okay, so if we were going to try and boil down Company B's success into something actionable, like a blueprint for you, the listener, it really seems to come down to maybe 3 core powerful insights. This is kind of the formula they figured out.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it all starts with that fundamental shift in thinking. Strategy before tools, purpose before procurement.
Right. So insight 1, start with a clear business problem, strategy over tool. And the really critical part here, the elaboration, is the discipline it takes to define that problem in measurable terms first.
Absolutely. Don't start by buying the $20 million data lake and then hope a problem magically appears for it to solve.
No solution looking for a problem.
Exactly. You have to identify a high-priority, tangible business pain point, like that claims processing time, and then focus all your initial effort, your initial resources, exclusively on defining the data, the governance, the tech needed to solve that one specific problem. Nothing else matters yet.
It's like defining the demand side. What do we need the data to do before you go building the supply side, the infrastructure?
Precisely. If you clearly state the business objective, it naturally dictates what data you actually need, what level of quality is required, and exactly what kind of analytics or dashboards will be useful. It cuts through all the ambiguity that turned Company A's lake into that swamp.
And the litmus test is, can you explain the problem simply in operational terms to a line manager who lives it every day? If not, you're probably not ready to start building the tech solution yet.
Well said.
Okay, so that's insight one, problem first. The second insight seems to be all about momentum, keeping things moving, and managing risk. Company B nailed this.
Yeah, insight 2. Deliver incremental progress and quick wins. Build momentum. Success breeds success, right. But the key is, the success doesn't have to be earth-shattering initially, but it must be measurable and, ideally, pretty immediate.
So avoid those massive multi-year projects where nobody sees any value until the very end, if ever.
Exactly. Company B deliberately went for that quick, tangible win, that 30% reduction in claims time, and they used that success to build instant, undeniable credibility throughout the organization.
And that makes life so much easier for the people sponsoring these projects, the executives, right? Because they're not funding some giant black box anymore.
No, they're funding the continuation of a process that has already proven it generates value. It's way easier to get approval for, say, a $200,000 follow-up project that you can credibly estimate will save $500,000 within 6 months.
Compared to asking for $20 million up front with a vague promise of maybe saving money 3 years from now.
Totally different conversation. Each successful use case becomes a validation point. It proves the team's capability, it validates the methodology, and critically, it provides a measurable ROI that helps fund the next step. That iterative cycle is how you achieve big transformation without getting crushed by the weight of trying to do everything at once.
Okay, problem first, then incremental wins. And the third, insight. This really digs into that human element, the cultural side, which was so vital for Company B, getting people to actually use the stuff they built.
Right. Insight 3, build organizational buy-in and capability over time. Culture is key. This really just acknowledges the reality. Data transformation isn't just an infrastructure upgrade. It is fundamentally an exercise in organizational change management. It's about people.
And Company B nailed this by involving that cross-functional team right from the start, didn't they?
Yeah.
Business folks and tech folks working together.
Absolutely. That ensured the design wasn't just technically sound, but it was relevant to the business need, and crucially, it was trusted because the business users helped build it.
Let's zero in on that change management piece, the training aspect. It wasn't just about showing people which buttons to click, was it?
No, not at all. It was about building sustained capability within the organization. Company B's training made sure those claims adjusters didn't just, tolerate the new system. They could actually understand its output. They trusted the data quality because they'd helped define what good looked like for claims data.
Right.
And they could actively incorporate it into their daily workflow because they saw how it helped them. Plus, Company B set up feedback loops. The adjusters could tell the data team what was working well, what wasn't, what could be improved. It made them feel like co-owners of the solution, not just passive recipients.
That co-ownership, that feels like everything. Because if the end users don't trust it, don't understand it, don't feel like it's theirs, it just won't get adopted, no matter how brilliant it is technically.
Exactly. Company A built this incredibly powerful, expensive Rolls-Royce engine. But nobody knew how to start it, and everyone was suspicious of it anyway.
Whereas Company B built a reliable, useful tool, maybe more like a dependable pickup truck initially, that everyone on the job site actually used because it demonstrably made their lives easier and helped them see their own performance improve.
So what does all this really mean for you, the listener? It means that the most sophisticated, cutting-edge technology in the world, that $20 million data lake, is fundamentally useless, maybe even a net negative, if the people who need to use the data don't trust it or don't understand its specific purpose in solving a real organizational problem.
The strategy the business need has to drive. Technology is the powerful enabler, the implementation mechanism, but it can't lead.
It has to serve the strategy, not the other way around. Hashtag tag tag outro.
So when you boil it all down, this tale of the $20 million unused data swamp versus the 30% reduction in claims processing time,
Right.
it's just about the clearest illustration you could ask for. It really highlights the power of strategic focus, that discipline, over just throwing huge amounts of money at a problem.
Yeah, Company A's story is, it's a spectacular, incredibly costly cautionary tale. They put the tech cart way before the strategic horse. Infrastructure and scale came first. Insight and utility were afterthoughts.
But we really need to emphasize again, the cost wasn't just the sticker price of that data lake.
No, absolutely not. That initial $20 million, painful as it was, that's almost a sunk cost at this point. They had to absorb that.
The real cost, the truly profound expense, was the opportunity cost, wasn't it?
That's where the damage really lies. 3 years lost. 3 years in a highly competitive market where they made zero progress on leveraging data effectively.
During which time they actually created that deep organizational cynicism we talked about.
Suffered massive talent drain as frustrated experts left.
And completely failed to build any kind of positive data culture, the exact culture that Company B was successfully nurturing step by step.
Right. So Company A spent $20 million and arguably ended up worse off than when they started because now they have this internal skepticism, this lack of trust that makes any future data project even harder to get off the ground.